Hey everyone, I wanted to give some perspective or some insight into the course that I'm currently working on creating. So this course, by the way, has no name yet. And so that's why I'm calling it the course. But the course is centered around rank and rent, PPL, lead gen sites, however we want to say it. I am building out sites, collecting leads, and getting business owners to pay for them. But the actual course itself is, I wanted to come from a different perspective. I wanted to come from an actual business owner perspective and not come from the typical SEO perspective. And let me explain what I mean about that. For SEOs, I've noticed that we put ourselves into a pretty tight, constrained box all the time. And we're making things a lot harder on ourselves, or at least we are from my viewpoint. So I'll tell you a little story of something that happened, and it helped shape this whole idea of what this entire course is about. So my next door neighbor works with in the residential construction field, and he knows that I do SEO. So one day I was outside, he came to me, he's like, hey, I need SEO for my business and I want to hire you. So we go into our typical SEO marketing spills, right? Let me take a look at your website. Let me see what I can do. And let me come up with a cost, blah, blah, blah. All the typical SEO thoughts. I'm going through the motions and he sends me his site. I take a look at it and the site is hideous. It has absolutely no SEO behind it that I can find, at least not anything I would call SEO. I mean, it loosely has meta titles. The phone number is missing off part of the website. I mean, it just goes on and on. It's not built out any way I would have built it out. I take a look. The city that it's in is a small, relatively small city. Uh, so I take a look at it. I make my judgments, and I come back to him and I say, hey, I took a look at your site. It's not ranking really well. And he's like, yeah, I understand that. I'm back on the 10th page. I understand, blah, blah, blah. So we're going through the motions. We're having this conversation. And as I'm telling him that his site is complete horrible wreck, he's not getting any phone calls. He says, wait a minute. Actually, I am getting phone calls. And so I said, okay, what number are they calling? Where are they getting this phone number? I start becoming more of a detective, right? And I'm asking him all of these questions because from an SEO standpoint, no one really should have been able to find a site from what I could see on my first glance. And it's a small city. I never would have built a site in the city. It's small. I don't know if he would have ever gotten any phone calls because any of my SEO spidey senses would have said not to build a site in that city for whatever, his services. It wouldn't have worked out. So as I'm talking to him and I'm getting more information from him, I'm realizing that yes, he does get a lot of phone calls. In fact, he himself has built up a $2 million business off of this site that has no SEO or has very little SEO, however we want to say it. There's no real plan behind his site. But yet he's built up a $2 million business. And here I am coming from an SEO perspective, telling him, hey, I could really help you out. No one's calling. And he's like, wait a minute, no, someone is calling. And in fact, I'm so busy right now. That's why I'm never home. But I know down the road, I'm going to need organic SEO. So as the story keeps evolving, the wheels start spinning in my head because my SEO knowledge, background, spidey sense, whatever we want to call it, would have told me that there's no way in hell I could have built a lead gen site in that city for those services, and that this man would have built $1 million business, $2 million business. At that point, I would never have guessed it. And so my wheels started spinning. Are SEOs making this more complicated? And is there a system, or what can I do to replicate building out sites, lead gen sites, rank and rent sites, whatever we want to call it, building out these sites and getting phone calls so that I can sell them to business owners? Because at the end of the day, can I build out sites in huge cities and get a ton of calls? Yes, but I'm going to wait. It's going to take a bit to rank. But why am I putting myself in that box if there are different cities, smaller cities, if there are cities that SEOs currently are not building in? Why am I not building up as many of those sites as I can, as fast as I can, and selling them off? And that's really where all of this got started. And so when I started putting some of this together, actually for myself, piecing it together, what is the system? What can I do? How do I know? When do I build out? What cities do I build out in? What type of niches? I mean, I had a million questions for myself, but the main one truth that kept coming back is I have really put myself into a tight SEO box, and I wasn't thinking outside of the box. And instead, this entire process, I wanted to come at not from an SEO perspective, but from a business owner perspective. What services do they need? What brings them the most return on investment? What is it that I can get from them to help me build out something super profitable, something they really want, and something where, frankly, not 50 SEOs are already in? And so the question began, can we beat our heads against the wall and continue to build out in huge cities and the typical rank and rent PPL site with Austin plumbing? Or can we take it from a different perspective, really drill it down, and come out with a system that allows us to build out sites quickly? It's profitable. The business owners actually want it. It's a great return on their investment. And I'm not asking them for $1,500 a month, $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month. I'm not asking them for typical SEO fees and then telling them to wait 6 months to figure out what the results are. So really, there's a lot of reasons why I even wanted to do this course. It started off that I just wanted to build it out for myself. And then in talking to Moon and a few others, they're like, hey, why don't you let others see this process as you build out? And I started to like that idea more and more. And this video really is to show you some of the perspective that went behind it, why I'm creating what I'm creating. And I just think that it's time that we take off the SEO hat, think about it a little bit with a different logic, and the doors start to open up where maybe we didn't see the doors before, right? So you're finding multiple channels, different cities, different services. You're finding different ways to do what we've always wanted to do, which is create sites, bring in as many leads as quick as we can, but it's just going at it from a completely different perspective and keeping more of the business owner in mind. So with the course, what I want to do is really take apart to show you the system, so show you completely what I'm thinking, why I'm thinking it, and why I'm going in that direction, so that you can build out at the exact same time I'm building out. So that's just like a small sneak peek, if you will, or actually just an insight into why I even wanted to build this, or why I started to go in this direction. And I'll actually release a few more videos that detail some more of the scenarios and stories that I went through to really come to the point that I'm at right now. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys later.